What happening, young blood? You better strap in, because today we're taking a look at my super ex-girlfriend.
If you could have any superpower, what would it be? The ability to blow myself.
It's going to be an adrenaline-pumped ride, so brace for an impact, and let's get right into it. Spoilers ahead. Welcome to America, a peaceful... And I haven't even properly started yet, but there's already a Payday 2 heist going on. Great! And while that's taking place, is it just me or some of these bullets aimed at Neo now flying into the city skies? The robbers flee via an expensive Lincoln. It zooms through traffic, but then... it takes flight? Oh no, it's being carried by something. And there's our Wonder Woman. People call her G-Girl. Hope it's not a pun to G-string. But once the car's settled, the armed GTA 5 players take a shot at G-Girl. But sorry folks, she's invulnerable, thanks to G-Fuel. Not sponsored, by the way. G-Girl then zooms and breaks his G-Un. She actually just bent the removable silencer, but whatever. Beatrix flies away and cues the title card. That actually already exists. In fact, a few men can do it. The suit guy is Matt Saunders, and the autofellatio guy is Von Haig. These fine gentlemen will be with us for the rest of this raunchy spectacle, as seen now. They're already spying out the brunette in the trench coat. Vaughn orders Matt to ask her out, and it's been about 6 months since Matt's seen some action. Vaughn keeps pestering him to say hi until he actually does so. Smooth. Real smooth. He's got to net the ladies all the time with that one. Of course, the bride of Bill rejects him. He still goes for it, but Jason Statham suddenly takes her back. A wild goose chase ensues between the three of them. And the guy zooms out of the subway and runs onto the streets, but almost gets hit by a car, where he accidentally drops the bag, but flees anyway. An unappealing part of the gluteus maximus? Put the gun down, Susan, he didn't swear. The thief man gets pissed at this and chases him back with a metal rod, so Matt hides in a dumpster. And the thief isn't as dumb as we think, so he starts banging on the garbage bin. Then he suddenly stops. Matt bursts out of his home, only to find the chick from Kill Bill in a trench coat. He takes this chance to ask her out on a date. Jenny Johnson, huh? So American. Matt runs his mouth part some more, asks for her number. She refuses, but then ends up taking it. Well, at least he's self-aware. Zooming out, we then see the Steve Jobs thief hanging from his leather jacket. Later at Matt's office, we see him talking to one of his workmates, Hannah Lewis, who looks like your stereotypical blonde. Vaughn walks in to give a male gaze towards Hannah, bops Matt's head, and then pisses off. The two then check up on some architectural plans. Then it derails into Hannah's boyfriend, who's pretty buff, to be honest. Claiming a few roids and months at the gym, he could look like Hannah's main squeeze. Now, this man's quite the simp. Afterwards, Matt's helping H-Witch take some books up. But Matt then gazes at her, assets. Wanda Sykes, or rather Carla, catches him. She busts him and asks her to file a complaint, but H-Witch declines. After that creepy display, Jenny calls up Matt and asks if dinner's still on. And H-Witch asks if that's actually a real girl. Regardless, Jenny books him up for an Indian restaurant the following night at 8. Skipping to the date, Jenny says she's an assistant art curator. She doesn't seem to be the manic pixie dream girl type, but it is what it is. Nah, it sounds like daddy issues. A lot. Anyways, she does offer Matt some action, but not tonight, since it's the first date. And getting back to actual small talk, Matt says he's a project manager at his firm, which they design a lot of buildings. Suddenly, some radio chatter buzzes around Jenny's ears, which Matt finds weird. She then seizes the opportunity and retreats towards the bathroom. Matt then calls up Vaughn, who's outside. He then says Jenny's quite the chatterbox, to which Vaughn responds with, "Man, these guys are acting like some desperate Discord virgins." But they're serene about it. Matt overhears the commotion in Vaughn's call background. And he says there's some building burning. You know, the usual. Hot dog, something suddenly zooms in. Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's G-Girl. Vaughn looks with awe as she spins to put out the fire. The crowd chants and celebrates as G-Girl flies away. Then a surprise that totally caught me off guard. G-Girl lands outside some Indian restaurant and comes out Jenny on the other end. Do you think? Amazing. It's like this and the Vaughn from Borderlands have super colorful words. Jenny comes back to the table and makes the excuse that there's a huge line for the bathroom. Matt points out that there's a smudge on her chin, so she tries to go to the bathroom again. To be fair though, Indian food kinda has that power, Matt. Hey, like what I said before, always stick it in crazy. After a little banter, These two get back to work, but H-Witch's computer throws a tantrum. So Matt checks up on it, up until Steve Ballard catches the two. He thinks some NTR business is going down. But Matt apologizes. Bro, you have abs. Of course you're not. They soon do some PDA crud, but at least Carla stops him. Matt says he's still looking for the one. Then the couple go out to lunch. Sometime later, we see Matt and Vaughn playing tennis. Vaughn tires out like a pig and tells Matt to call her back. Glad Vaughn has some balls. Matt then says that she has a few screws loose. That's exactly my point. Now, perhaps I've misjudged you, Vaughn. He continues to make Matt pursue her in the name of toxic masculinity and hormones. Horny commentary aside, Matt goes on another date with Jenny and even offers her a rose, but Jenny makes it quite awkward. She sneaks a sloppy in and actually manages to make the taxi stop behind Matt's back. First, they stop at the art gallery Jenny works in and see a few oddities. Jenny proclaims Matt as her hero, and then they suck face. Jenny then gets uncomfortable mainly because Matt can't use his tongue to save his life. She gives him a few pointers. Then, well, I swear this video is going to get age restricted. Sweet almighty Christ. Susan, have mercy on the channel's soul. Matt then introduces his dumpy apartment and his fish, Biggie Smalls. I hope he gets flushed rather than ending up in a drive-by. Then some robot pigeon lands on Matt's window while the two continue to swirl tongues like there's no tomorrow. From the Laserbeak's camera feed, some 4chan user watches them get kinky while he smokes one. She was about to strip and then realized we were about to get demonetized. Thanks, Jen. Wait, no, she just wanted to remove her costume. Great. Anyways, horny jail awaits the fate of the bride from Kill Bill and they get freaky. Wait, no foreplay? Americans, I swear. At least she rides like Calamity Jane, because Matt's bed looks like it was hit by Hurricane Katrina. The following day, Matt limps while walking to work because his tool's been totaled. Enter the Barney Stinson of this scene. Denied. Matt enters and God bless America. Matt expresses that he was blown away from the mad pipe of Jenny. Vaughn's intrigued, but tells him to move on. But I guess Matt's not as douchey. Love how they compare women to objects like roller coasters. H-Witch comes into the scene and gives a little Tiananmen Square to help Matt's presentation later. H-Witch is amazed that Matt's gonna see Jenny again and even drops her jaw when Vaughn told her that she broke Matt's bed. Just when his mojo was feeling good, Matt gets nabbed by the Great Kali and some knockoff General Zod. Matt cries like a wimp, so bootleg Zod slaps him to calm down. The chunky monkey beside him is Professor Bedlam, proclaiming to be a normal dude, just with better taste in everything. Matt gets weirded out by this, so Zod makes him kneel again. Bedlam wants to know everything about Jenny. Sheesh, talk about stranger danger. Matt whines, so fake Zod slaps him again. Matt, of course, doesn't just want to spill his guts out to some stranger. Bedlam understands. Spoiler alert, I lied. Jenny then receives a text from Bedlam, so she suits up. You know the tale of Humpty Dumpty? Well, Matt's about to experience its ending. Until, of course, the bootleg Supergirl saves him. Bedlam breaks into Jenny's apartment and takes a clump of hair from her comb. You know, the usual evil villain schmuck. Back to our penile fractured friend. Matt is still starstruck. Jenny asks him to describe G-Girl. Wink wink. But he calls her nuts. Jenny gets a bit touchy from Matt's remarks. But some idiot little girl chases a ball down the street of death, as usual, and Jenny speeds up to save her, reminding her to look both ways when crossing the street. Of course. Jenny lands on some bag vendors, but says she's fine. They retreat back to Jenny's place, but Matt's still dumbfounded on what happened to Jenny. She then wants to spill the beans, despite being only 3 dates in, and she shows him stripping. Good so far, maybe be kind and throw $1 or two, but no, wait, she's got a G-Girl costume on. Matt, despite being a project manager, can't put 2 and 2 together, up until she removes her wig. Lucky how Matt landed the local soup. Jenny then says he's not allowed to tell anyone, not even Vaughn. She even makes him swear before Makima puts a chainsaw up his butt. Later on their 4th date, Matt asks about Bedlam. Apparently, he's Jenny's ex. What is it, Scott Pilgrim? Someone get me negative XP. Jenny says that his actual name is Barry Edward Lambert. Sounds like a cringy VTuber alias. She reminisces on her high school life with Bedlam, where they were nerds and bullies and yada yada blah whatever. They soon grew close, and they were about to plug, but some asteroid crash landed near their position. They follow it to some forest, and of course, Jenny touches it. It's a white girl moment. Something surges through Jenny, surely it's not the bat virus, and she skips puberty and starts to levitate. With her good looks, she soon grew apart from Bedlam, and it got worse after graduation. Not gonna lie, sounds like I'm reading a flaccid Reddit story. Matt's in awe, but now at least he knows. He tries to ask a favor from Jen, but it sounds kinky. Jenny gets in gear, teases Matt into a little role play, and then flies Matt really high. Jenny gets frisky and they actually bone 15,000 feet into the air. She then starts plummeting them both while still getting it on, and almost crashes into a taxi filled with prunes. Polar opposite to that bone scene, Bedlam and his goons examine the hair of G-Girl like some mouth-breathing neckbeards. I learned the great Callie's dead. Bedlam doesn't call the paramedics, and instead puts an asteroid below G-Girl's hair, and it looks like it's absorbing the blonde power from it. Afterwards, he's able to cut the hair with normal scissors. Now the next day, Matt's at a construction yard with H-Witch, and he gets a small cut, so she does the logical thing and sucks the blood out. Alright, totally not weird. Then Jenny catches her. I'm surprised that you guys aren't sucking face in public. Matt introduces her to H-Witch, amazing idea, and Jenny isn't really taking it too well. Matt then goes into damage control and suggests a double date. Not great. H-Witch gets a call from her flame saying he can't make it due to an emergency thong shoot. Pretty sure those are made up words. Jenny gets a little stingy, and a news report says that a missile is headed for the city. Convenient. She ignores that and asks how she and Matt met. Well, get this. Those two have been working for years now, and their company's name is Cockrum. Totally amazing, 10 out of 10 PP jokes, just to rile up the 10-year-olds. Chaos ensues because of the Second Cold War, and Matt begs on his knees for Jenny to do the thing. Translation, we're all gonna die. A live feed of a missile is shown, and G-Girl kicks that missile off. Bad time to hug H-Witch, as Jenny catches that. Of course, why would you even do that? Listen, I've been on many car rides where the parents are arguing and barking like mongrels. Let me tell you, this is totally one of them. It gets so bad to the point Jenny breaks a window. Sometimes. Then Jenny drops the L word. Love, not lesbians. And Matt is quite surprised about this. Next day at the gym, Vaughn is up to his old antics, while Matt is stressing about Jenny. He's not wrong. Vaughn gives him a Brody tip on how to do this, which he thinks Matt doesn't have the loins for the jerk route, so he gives him the weenie route. Whatever route you take, Vaughn says to do it after they plugged. See, this is why women hate us. Later at Matt's house, he and Jenny are cooking up a meal, while Matt's cooking up a breakup. Jenny catches on quick. It's a great idea breaking up with her while she's holding a godforsaken knife, you idiot. Jenny even deforms the blade of the knife. She headbutts the fridge until it dents, and blames the floozy known as H-Witch. Matt's calling her crazy, and only good can come from that, right? Well, Jenny loses it, and Biggie Smalls the fish does not die from a drive-by via gun. Nah, I see a drive-by via death laser. Matt manages to save the fish, and she flies off. You know, Venom Let There Be Carnage is actually like this. Moving on to the next day, Vaughn is really try-harding this bartender even though she's refusing. And there goes your Valhalla waifu, you twit. Vaughn brings booze to Matt to comfort him a bit, but Matt's actually a narc and tells Vaughn that Jenny's G-Girl. You already did a few things wrong, and you actually dox her? Amazing. Vaughn gets blown away, bumps him some respect, but worries about exposing her secret identity. I guess Matt had a little Makima nightmare. Matt gets really paranoid about the breakup, even on the way to work. It's become apparent that he's really acting up. He then tells H-Witch that he and Jenny called it splits, and gets a hug from her. Right on cue, Jenny sees it, so Matt panically pushes H-Witch down. Jenny zooms off and Carla sees the slight harassment and she talks to Matt seriously, saying he really has a problem, so she recommends a therapist. Next stop, horny maximum security prison, right? Nah, as he gets a call from the cops about his car. And it's gone. It's gone along with that part of the wall, to be honest. Later that evening, Matt practices his social credit begging, and the power goes out. Jenny suddenly crashes from the roof. She just came to use his telescope, and she admits that she took the power out. But none of that matters towards Elon Musk's new SpaceX Tesla 2. Matt wants her out, and calls her the craziest girl he's ever been with. Oh, bad move again, Chief, as Supergirl lasers out the first Robin's first name on Matt's forehead. The following day, the meeting's getting heated due to Matt's tardiness. And speak of the devil, with a stupid beanie on. So he begins to shield design up until Jenny zooms by the window. Then she sneaks up on the meeting, and well, let's just say that Matt is now hanging brain. Later, H-Witch tries to cover up Robin's real name on Matt's forehead with some makeup, while Vaughn catches a few chuckles. Matt's in deep regret, and fired too. And that's their little farewell. Matt receives a knock on the door, but it's kicked open. It's a miracle. The great Kali lives. Oh, and Bedlam and Dollar Store Zod too. Bedlam came to talk to Matt about not killing Jenny, but actually removing her superpowers. Bedlam asks him to distract her, but Matt's worried that he might double-cross him, so he asks him to just leave her alone. But Bedlam says otherwise. As a matter of fact, he claims Jenny's harassing him. Well, whatever Matt decides, Bedlam gave his card and, yeah, that. Bedlam leaves, and Matt just decides to skip town. And just as he's about to do that, H-Witch calls and says something happened, so Matt rushes to her like a white knight. Matt, like a crack addict, panics that G-Girl might be there, but nope, it's just H-Witch and her problem of getting cheated on. Totally not a call for a rebound. H-Witch just shills Steve, but actually, H-Witch might be into Matt. Matt confesses, as if this is a Twilight movie, and they slurp each other's tongues. The night has passed, and looks like both parties are satisfied, up until... Cool gray white, but too close for comfort. It almost bites off his manhood, and he manages to make it charge off a window. I swear, it's a scene straight out of Gyo. H-Witch doesn't know why G-Girl threw a shark at him. Matt says he can't tell her, tells her to piss off, and Matt flocks off. Fake Zod answers the door, tells him to wait at a specific spot, and Matt sees a lot of creepy Jenny memorabilia in another room. Of course, the Great Callie makes him piss off that room. Bedlam discusses with Matt on how to stop G-Girl, as Bedlam spent 10 years trying to research her powers. Apparently, it's just radiation, so she's more of a Hulk than Superman. Why on God's green earth is it next to that perfectly good ham? Well, apparently, the Rock is like a sponge to Jenny's powers. Get her near enough and her powers may be as dry as Minute Movie's sense of humor. Bedlam needs Matt because he needs an innocent-looking bait. Matt mans up, brings roses to Jenny at work. She's not buying it, but Matt confesses a desperate fake love to her. It's kinda low. All you had to ask was a date, bud. But whatever, it works. And the shark took the bait. Specifically, a dinner later at 7. At night, Jenny comes up to Matt's place. I have no idea why she didn't just fly. And she reads a note to come upstairs. Upstairs, Matt has prepared a banquet for her and disguises it as an apology gift. And Bedlam's over here creeping like MK Ultra. Well, second creepiest thing these past few minutes because... Jesus Christ, what a travesty. H-Witch suddenly arrives. And oh boy, this is not gonna end well. H-Witch catches them sucking face. Bedlam and the boys are pretty dumbfounded on who she is, and well, Jenny calls her a courtesan, a morbidly obese one. This is really starting to look weird. Vaughn joins with tickets. But Matt isn't having it tonight. Soon, Beatrix Kiddo and H-Witch are starting to get aggressive. They get frisky. Jenny's wig comes off and the jig's up. Bedlam panics and aims for the box. Matt screams for Vaughn to open the box. So the truth comes out and the Rock saps all of the G-Girl's powers. Great Callie and Fake Zod suddenly hold everyone at gunpoint, but Vaughn distracts and tussles with them. Soon a riot ensues and H-Witch is instructed not to touch the Rock. She and Jenny fight over it. Then upon close proximity, the Rock explodes. That's not all the surprises though. Looks like Supergirl has her powers back, but she's not alone. So H-Witch and Captain Marvel bootleg fist it out through the streets. H-Witch bats Blondie off a mat, but she throws a van back. Then back to a fine brawl. The gang tries to go after Wonder Broad and Super Brunette, but Vaughn again ogles at the local bartender. Again. Looks like RuPaul's in town, and looks like he just sashayed away. Matt calmly tries to plead at both and even apologizes to Jenny. He finally has the cojones to tell her how he really felt about their relationship and how he knows a better guy perfect for her. Matt persuades Bedlam to tell him how he really feels, even mentioning the creepy Jenny shrine. Jenny's not buying it yet. She's confused on why he's been trying to hurt her, to which he explains that he's just trying to get back at her. Now she buys it. Happily ever after, yada yada yada. Matt and H-Witch get out of there. They're freaked out. She notices her hair is a different color and is still getting used to her powers and her new relationship. Everyone in this town just sucks face in public. Yeah. Of course, later, the two take it to the bed, and the rest is history. Up until H-Witch drives the entire bed through the building wall and freaks the neighbors out. And SpaceX has touchdown. Of course, the car isn't really in good shape, but both Jenny and Bedlam offer to fix it. Suddenly, the two girls overhear a plane crash, so H-Witch offers some help. Jenny accepts, and they suit up and zoom off. Cut, print, that's a wrap. That was truly one of the superhero movies of all time. No, I really meant it like that. What did you guys think about this super movie? Let us know in the comments below with that hashtag cinema recap. This was My Super Ex-Girlfriend, released by 20th Century Fox, starring Uma Thurman, Eddie Izzard, and Luke and Rainn Wilson. Until the next Avengers movie, farewell.